Although they suffered tremendous losses previously when they invaded this area, the Israeli forces decided to deploy forces from Division 98 to Hayy Shuja'iyya or Al-Shuja'iyya neighborhood in Gaza in what they're calling Stage 3 or Phase 3 of the war. Now, although Phase 3 of the war was supposed to be taking place after they eliminated Hamas, clearly this Phase 3 is still dealing with fierce resistance. As a matter of fact, we've seen a very intense day today in Gaza that included participation from many resistance groups, including Kata'ib al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas, Saraya al-Quds brigades, the military wing of the PIJ, and Kata'ib Shuhada al-Aqsa Martyrs brigades belonging to Fatah, and Kata'ib al-Shaheed Umar al-Qasim, the Martyr Umar al-Qasim brigades that belongs to the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The Democratic Front forces, Umar al-Qasim, in coordination with al-Aqsa Martyrs brigades, they targeted Zikim with short-range missiles. Saraya al-Quds, the armed wing of the PIJ, on the other hand, they had two very significant attacks. One of them was launching missiles on Israel from North Gaza. Again, this might sound normal to all of you who are observing what's been happening with the resistance, but we're talking about North Gaza, the place that Israel was supposed to be done with from month 2. They are still launching missiles on Israel from the northern part of Gaza. They also had a very intense attack in central Gaza, in particular in Ash-Shuja'iyya neighborhood. In Ash-Shuja'iyya neighborhood, they trapped a whole building in Israeli forces and they blew it all up, and they also blew up 2 tunnels, booby trap tunnels, that Israeli forces went into. They were lured into these booby trap tunnels and the resistance exploded them in all of the Israeli forces, leading to dozens of casualties from the IDF. Israel admitted that 4 were killed today in Gaza alongside 5 wounded. These numbers do not reflect the true numbers, especially seeing the level of resistance and the level of damage and destruction that happened after these attacks. There was another very significant attack from Al-Qassam brigades in an area called Hayy Tal al-Hawa, Tal al-Hawa neighborhood that's in Gaza City, where they also exploded a house that had Israeli soldiers inside it. Clearly, what we're understanding from all of this is that Israel is repeating the same mistakes. That's number one. It is absurd that Israel is invading the same areas that they suffered the greatest losses in, by the way. In particular, when we talk about Ash-Shuja'iyya neighborhood, this is one of the places where Israel suffered tragic losses very similar to the one that they suffered today. In many cases, they reported dozens killed. In one instance, they reported 13 were killed. That's from Israel. And again, when Israel admits, then you can multiply that number by 10 in certain circumstances. So Israel's repeating the same mistakes. Why are they repeating the same mistakes? Well, they have no other option to try, at least, and defeat the Palestinian resistance. They know that the resistance actually hasn't been affected in any part of Gaza. They are selling the illusion to the Israeli public that they dismantled the majority of the Hamas brigades, although it's not only Hamas fighting, as is evident from the ground today and in many other days. What we also understand from this is that the Palestinian resistance, of course, is not going anywhere. They're getting stronger and they're still able to provide quality attacks on Israel. With regards to the intel, that's something very important, that the Palestinian resistance is still going ahead with information that is validated from the ground, and they have live info about Israel and where they're moving. Despite the fact that Israel is all across of Gaza, they cause so much destruction, so much damage to the infrastructure. The Palestinian resistance is still showing evidence that they're recording Israeli forces as and when they move, and they are still communicating between them. So to conduct operations such as this, you need to have a very good level of communication that is not interrupted, which leads us to another thing: Israel's failure in affecting the communication of the resistance, not only the resistance forces and their types of attacks. So clearly Israel is suffering very heavily after today. Today was one of the most intense days in weeks, if not months, on the Israeli forces, and we're not seeing an end or a sign that Israel is about to agree to a ceasefire in Gaza, which will only escalate things further and make it more possible and more likely that we will have an all-out war with Lebanon, because we're not having a ceasefire with Gaza.